Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day and a great, maybe rounding out to the finish of your week here. We are staying very, very busy and productive with our Sync Focus program as we have been keeping our eye on the prize all month in January, just only 1 month essentially down and 11 more to go essentially coming up here. And so we have our next live call scheduled this Monday, February 3rd, I believe, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern time. I will be broadcasting it here on my channel. For those of you in Sync Academy, you guys have access to the Zoom link, so you can jump in there. And that'll be the first Zoom call where I start doing a handful of track reviews from Sync Academy only members. So if you guys are in Sync Academy, make sure you put up your tracks for the progress chart. Make sure you click yes, that you're open to me reviewing your tracks. I can't guarantee I'll get to everybody's tracks. In fact, I can guarantee you I will not get to everybody's tracks. There's going to be a lot of music out there, but I'll get through a good number of them, and I'll try to sample through just picking them at random and trying to give you guys some helpful tips and insights for what might you be doing well and what's working for you and what might need to be some course correction to ensure that you're getting closer to having some licensable tracks. And also what we're going to be talking about for that Zoom call on Monday is how to find high quality reference tracks, meaning tracks that have already been accepted by a production music library, already been greenlit, already been given a thumbs up, already been put in under contract, and are potentially already getting those placements. So if you're fairly new to Sync, or you've been struggling for a long time and just getting rejected and not sure if you've got music that's going to be synced, this Monday will be a Zoom call you do not want to miss out on. I have decided I will make this one available for replay. I'll probably make all of our Zoom calls available for replay on my YouTube channel, certainly available in Sync Academy as well. But this is the kind of stuff that I think everybody needs to learn about, especially for those of you that have limited time throughout your week. You know, maybe you've committed 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, whatever it is. It's probably a small number that, you know, you can only get so much done. So in those small few hours throughout the week, I want to make sure that you guys are squeezing out as much high quality, useful, marketable, licensable music as you possibly can and not feel like you have to reinvent the wheel or stab in the dark and try things out. That's kind of what I did at the beginning of my career. I really wish I had taken this advice. Somebody had given me this advice, hopefully, which I didn't receive. I wish I had had this kind of advice at the very beginning of my career, which is to not try to be so inventive and creative in the start, but really just kind of follow the formula, follow and understand exactly what works and what libraries are looking for. Once you figure out the sort of basics of this industry, then you can start getting creative, and then you can start pushing the boundaries and start really carving and getting into your own unique style and sound and brand. And that's what we're going to talk about in March moving forward with it. But February, it's about learning the bounce pass, learning the basics of this game. So we're going to get into the fundamentals and show you guys. I'm going to show you where I find a lot of my great reference tracks. I'm going to ask you, those of you in Sync Academy that want to join in, and put your particular genres in the chat with a Zoom call. I'm going to take a handful of those suggestions, and we'll literally look up your specific genre and try to find some high quality ones. But of course, the best place for you to find your reference tracks are from those 3 to 5 libraries that hopefully by now you have researched and found. If not, that's okay. It's not too late to get started. But if you do have a good number of maybe 3 at the minimum, libraries that you feel could be great fits for you and your music, those would be the places for you to go do this research. So in this Zoom call, I'm just going to give you a broad overview on how to do it. I'll give you a couple of high quality libraries you can still use, but the best place to find your reference tracks are the libraries that you feel are the best for you, that you want to potentially work with, because that's really where your target's going to be, right? But the point of today's stream is just to talk a little bit about a couple of interesting AI news stories that came out recently. Some of you maybe have seen this on social media. Paul McCartney sat down for an interview talking about some of the recent developments happening in the UK. They are certainly debating now as to what they're going to take in terms of passing some laws for generative AI models, and whether or not they have to go get consent for training off of copyright protected music and all different types of intellectual property. And you know, I don't know necessarily where this battle is going to land, but I know that there's a large push for sure for the fair use argument of, we don't want to stop it. We want to allow any AI model to train off of any intellectual property as long as it's on the internet, open and free. And that should be the law of the land of the UK. There's definitely a large contingency, certainly in the tech space, that want to push that. So there are voices going in the other direction as well. So I think it's still kind of up in the air as to where it's going to go. But what was really cool is that Paul McCartney, who is probably famously one of the most well-off beneficiaries of the copyright system, chimed in and actually made a very, very strong statement about what he feels the government should be doing in light of this new technology and what their job is and what their role should be as we move forward. And so I think what he did in this very, very short part of the clip, I'm not even going to play the whole thing, but just literally 10, 15 seconds, he really just kind of summarizes a really great, powerful point that certainly emphasizes my point of view and helped me actually kind of clarify even more why I feel very strongly about this issue in the way that I do. And I think most of you watching this stream for sure, either you're making income with the copyright system because you're counting on that copyright to protect your music as you submit it to libraries, or that's your plan for the future. So you're probably, maybe not realizing it, but you are looking forward and counting on some sort of copyright system to protect you and to not allow an AI model to basically train off your music and replace you with their AI model, right? So let me just play this real quickly, and I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end of it. And then I'm going to kind of give a short, very crude presentation on my sort of argument for it. We always hear this. You guys have heard this on my channel. You probably hear it everywhere, which is, well, humans are doing the exact same thing that AI models are doing, right? We just listen to music. We get trained on it. We get inspired by it. We make music. As long as we're not ripping it off, copying note for note, we're not, committing copyright infringement. That's all fair use. So why are you guys all being hypocrites, forcing AI companies to have to go get permission? So I'll explain to you right after this clip why I think we have a pretty solid case for that. But here we go. Here's Paul's little quick note, very quick.
Decision at the moment about how to and whether to protect the copyright of artists like you.
We're the people. You're the government. You're supposed to protect us. That's your job. So, if you're putting through a bill, make sure you protect the creative thinkers, the creative artists, or you're not going to have them.
That's it. So I love that he just did it so quickly, succinctly, and it's just, I call it a kill shot because it's exactly what the entire agreement is between citizens and their governments, which is to say, what's your job? Like, why did we even have a government? Well, obviously it's for the greater good in various aspects, right? We can go debate on what things, what services, what should they be providing. But at the base level, it is to look out for the interests of the citizens and to make sure that if we're asking for something to help protect our interests and to help protect our creative, efforts and our businesses, especially those of us that are relying on the copyright system to protect us. That is your one and only job, is to make sure that the citizens, the human beings that are creating music, are being protected by these laws. So with that said, I'm going to show you this very crude presentation that I think might help explain further my point of view on this. And you can certainly send this to anybody who has the opposite point of view to say, you're being a hypocrite. You expect and demand AI companies to get permission, but human beings don't have to. So you are just, your argument falls apart because it's basically there's a double standard. Yes, there is a double standard. And there's an obvious reason for the double standard. We are all hypocrites. Absolutely. We are putting human beings in a certain type of category, wanting to have certain types of rules and restrictions and allowances. And we're going to separate that from AI, from machines, from computers, because believe it or not, radical thing to say, I know, humans and AI are actually different things. Those are actually different. So human beings have a certain essence to them and AI has a certain essence to them, but they're actually very different. So if that wasn't obvious to anybody yet, this might help, okay? So in this kind of battle we are in right now, in terms of figuring out how do we use this technology, and it's not going away. I'm not delusional thinking that, any legislation is going to get rid of AI. No, it's going to be a part of our lives, but how do we sort of incorporate it in a way that we feel is ethical and it is used as a tool for us and it's using to help us, not use as a vacuum cleaner to suck up all of our hard work and then go replace us in the marketplace, which if you guys haven't been following lately, that's happening, right? Maybe not so much in the sync space. That Red Lobster deal was kind of one of the first ways that happened. But there's a lot of instances now you're hearing these reports of Spotify music that's out there is AI generated. And I think I heard something, it was like close to 10% of the music that's on Spotify is AI generated. And so if that's true or not, I don't know. At some point, that's certainly going to be the case. And so the people that are just using a Udio, a Suno to just prompt music and then getting those streams, there's just so much of that pie for Spotify artists. So every single year, that AI slice is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where very few human artists are going to be making any money. I mean, it's already bleak right now anyways with those streaming royalties. But anyways, point of this is to say we have human beings that are creating music and then we have AI that is generating music, okay? So here's my crude little presentation. We have laws, right? And laws were created and designed to serve just the humans. That was really what laws were designed for. If you think about why do we have laws? Are they there to just serve some abstract principle? Are we there to just, I don't know, just have laws just for the sake of them? No. You think about every law that we've ever, whatever country you guys are watching this from. In the US, obviously, we have a constitution, we have a Bill of Rights, we have the amendments, we have all the things going on, right? Why did we create all of that stuff? Because we wanted to protect the rights of dogs, of trees, no. We were doing all of that because we said human beings are at the top of the list, and we want to make sure that our citizens, our human beings that are in our countries, are being protected. And at least to the best of our ability, it's not a perfect system, but to the best of our ability at the current moment, create a clear and fair playing field for if you're doing a great job and you're doing great work, you can thrive, you can succeed, and you can go for your pursuit of happiness, whatever it is. Again, we're not going to debate whether or not it's a perfect system. We all know it's not. But the copyright system has done a pretty decent job at allowing me to create full-time income, and many of you, hopefully in the future, will be able to do that. And the other professional sync licensing producers that I know, and especially all the libraries that I have interacted with, have all been really, really depending on this copyright system to protect them, to allow them to be able to focus on music and focus on sync licensing, okay? So the copyright law system was designed to serve just humans. It was not there to serve machines. It was not there to serve animals. In fact, it was a kind of funny, interesting situation where they said, I think it was like a chimp or something had taken a picture, and I guess the owner of the chimp or whoever was taking care of him tried to file for copyright to say the chimp owns the copyright, and the Copyright Office denied it and said, no, only human beings. That's a double standard. Why? How could they do that? They're such hypocrites. It was actually the chimp that did it. Yes, we are all hypocrites. We all have double standards, and we all put human beings at the top of the list. That's what laws are meant for. That's who we're designing this for. So what I loved about what Paul was saying there, Paul McCartney was saying, is to basically remind ourselves of that. Like, if you do like the humans in your society, if you like the creative humans in your society, you like the art, you like the music, you like the visuals, you like the video work, you like the written word, you like all these things that human beings have been able to, figure out a way to inspire themselves by and throw into the marketplace. Some making, very few, I'd say, making income with their art, but at least having a possibility of being able to do that. If we like that, we should definitely all be having a double standard, and we should be making sure that whatever laws we pass around AI and whatever regulations we enact here are 100% selfishly looking at human beings as the primary beneficiary, not AI companies, none of that. Okay. So I totally agree with that. I think that's a really interesting point of view that he brought, and I just like that he just so quickly and succinctly pointed that out. I thought that was really powerful. So, and then the last interesting bit of news, which is very ironic, the irony in this story is off the charts. I briefly talked about this the other day. DeepSeek has been this open source AI model that China released, which has claimed, again, we don't know exactly the truth of it, but the claim is that it was trained for a small, tiny fraction of the cost of what maybe OpenAI's models were trained upon. And the irony of all ironies is that OpenAI, who has certainly been accused of and is being sued for scraping internet data without permission, they have definitely paid some licensing deals for sure, maybe even more than other companies, I think, as far as my knowledge. But they are still being sued by the likes of the New York Times and many others. They are now concerned that perhaps DeepSeek, this open source free model that you can download and use, might have copied its work. And so the question is, did DeepSeek train a model on data it didn't get permission to use? What an interesting question, OpenAI, because that's exactly the question that everybody on planet Earth, other than maybe people in the AI tech space who can benefit from this technology, have been definitely asking and concerned about. So I think it's just the irony of all ironies that you have OpenAI and other companies like that who are just depending on the fair use training of any publicly available data, copyright or not wanting or needing to get consent. That's at least their point of view, that it's not infringing upon anybody's rights. But suddenly, when their lunch is threatened to be taken away, they suddenly now got an issue with intellectual property and other people using their quote unquote intellectual property to train a model much cheaper than theirs, distill it, and eat their lunch, right? So it's just this interesting race to the bottom of the barrel to see who can steal everybody else's data. So it's a mess. It's ridiculous. And I just wanted to share these few little news stories with you guys. You guys can obviously dive further into the details if you want to on that. That wasn't necessarily the point of today's video, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. But now I definitely want to check in with you guys and ask, how are you doing? How is your January? Are you still feeling productive? Are you feeling really good about the year? Are you still staying with your goal? I really like to get a little insight from you guys. We had one member who had an interesting comment in Sync Academy, and it kind of inspired me to essentially write an email the other day, which he said, had all the ambitions, start of January, and literally it's already a mess. Like this month, I've already fallen off. I've already let go of my focus. I'm not as productive as I want to be. I'm not sticking with my weekly goal. I'm already kind of behind. And he also noticed in this comment that there was, I think he had not accounted for some extra time he needed to build into his workflow to maybe start creating some templates to be more productive. And so my point back to him and to all of you guys is that if you're already off to a kind of a weak start in January, you're not feeling as productive, you're not staying as focused as you wanted to be, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a great thing, especially if you're aware of it right now as we start February, because you can essentially... Jake, you're more productive than normal. That's awesome, man. Glad to hear that. But if you guys are at all struggling with anything, this is the right time, the perfect time to just do a quick self-assessment of, okay, well, I thought I would be able to commit 10 hours a week to it. Turns out even doing 2 a week is very, very difficult. That is good to know right now, because there's 2 options. Like if you're feeling really burned out, you can either just give up and be like, all right, I'm done. Like I thought Sync was going to be it. I thought focusing on Sync was going to be something possible for me, but turns out it's not. I don't have it. Whatever, just you kind of give up on it. The other is you just recalibrate, right? And recalibration is really what we're talking about with Sync Focus. That's actually the entire point of Sync Focus. It's not for full-time income tomorrow, right? Or making licensable cues right away, but getting to a realistic pace that you can keep up with, okay? So maybe you are too ambitious saying that you could do 10 hours a week or even 5 hours a week. Maybe 5 hours was too much for you right now with your current workload, with your current schedule. It's better to, I believe, especially if you think Sync is going to be your full-time fire, your full-time focus, to recalibrate and go like, you know what, 5 hours, I'm not kidding myself. I'm going to go to 1 hour. I'm going to get 1 hour each week done where I can kind of focus on finding new sounds to use or listen to reference tracks or just whatever. But just put my head in the game, maybe just watch a tutorial or something like that. But get my head in the game for at least 1 hour a week. That's where I really need to go. I'm telling you, it's tortoise versus the hare. You are going to be much better off at the end of the year by scaling back a little bit of your goals and your expectations for yourself right now and get to a place where you can build consistency into your life, okay? Thinking that you're going to go 40 hours a week in January and then you're going to burn out by February, March, it's not going to be sustainable. It's small and steady. That's really what we want to think about here. It's the same plan for your entire Sync career, is you got to just slowly and steadily just keep showing up. Just keep showing up, keep grinding, keep producing new music, keep supplying your library partners with high quality music, and keep building up your catalog and getting better and better at your craft. And of course, building deeper and deeper, more committed and trustworthy relationships in this business. That's it. That's the whole secret to success. I wish we could all click our fingers and snap our fingers and get that immediately, but there is no way to do it immediately. You must just go down the path. You must take your journey to get there. So that's what we're doing really in Sync Focus. It's just realizing that it's not about getting results instantly. It's not about going from 0 to 40 hours a week of productivity. Unbelievable, not likely, not going to happen, just impossible. That's definitely what I would say. But if you were inconsistent in 2024 and your goal now is just to go 5 hours a week, that's probably doable. I think any one of you in some way, one way or another, can probably figure out a way to carve out 5 hours every single week, whether it's wake up 1 hour early, 1 hour in the evenings, maybe you carve off a Saturday or Sunday, maybe 2.5 hours each Saturday and Sunday, whatever it is, just make it work for you. But I think it's definitely possible for you guys to make a realistic and maybe much smaller weekly goal for your 2025, because that's what I'm going to keep reminding you guys to do. Is it's just about building a habit. It's not about perfection. It's not about even getting accepted by a library by the end of the year. Maybe some of you will, many of you will, some of you won't. If Sync and music being your full-time job is really what you want to do, you shouldn't have an expectation that anything amazing and magical is going to happen to you within the next couple of months. Because chances are you're going to need to just show up consistently and get better and better and better and better. So hopefully that's kind of ringing true for you guys here, especially those of you that are in Sync Academy, fully following along with our progress chart and all the other things we got going on there. Spitfire, hey, so exporting 2 songs today, right on. Thanks for kicking my butt. Well, happy to do that. That's definitely part of my job up here, I think. All right, Electric Monkey Productions. I like this little pressure by Sync Focus. As I finish 1 track in 3 days. Tomorrow is listening time again to interesting libraries. Awesome. And keep in mind too, I think I talked about it right when we launched today, but this Monday, I'm going to have a pretty interesting Zoom call with Sync Academy that I will also broadcast here on the channel. And we're going to talk about how to find great high quality reference tracks in your lane. So if you're in Sync Academy and you guys join us for the Zoom link, which you guys have on the platform right now, I'm going to take suggestions from just Sync Academy members of what genres you guys are making. And I'm going to type it into the particular, probably just one catalog that I usually go to. So I'm going to show you guys my sort of process for how do I find reference tracks and then how do I analyze them. And so you guys can kind of just use that as your guide maybe to start analyzing and finding your own reference tracks to make sure that you're creating high quality music. So definitely if you guys need to get a little bit more immersed into what is production music and what makes a track licensable and what elements should I be paying attention to as I listen to a lot of great high quality reference tracks, you're going to get all of that on Monday. So for sure, make sure you pay attention. And again, only Sync Academy members that follow along and put music in their progress chart could potentially get a review from me on that call. So I'll make sure that I try to get to as many of those as I can. If you marked yes, that I can give a public review to it. All right, glad you're going to be there. So, Weikai, what's this? I don't know if you're asking about the stories I was talking about or Sync Focus, but Sync Focus is the year-long plan that we are implementing inside of our Sync Academy platform, but also it's basically informing everything I'm going to be doing on this channel for the entire year. And I'm very glad that I made that decision. I didn't just think about doing it, but really made that choice because it's really helped me just selfishly become more clear on what my content on this channel needs to be without my Sync Focus plan kind of outlined for the entire year. And I think I have it linked down below our entire schedule. Without that, sometimes I show up to my office and I'm like, uh-oh, I need some videos for next week. I don't know what to talk about. I feel like I've covered so many things. Where do I go? And sometimes I'm kind of just reaching, just looking around, trying to find something, maybe looking for recent email interactions, some Sync Academy interesting topics that came up. But what's really cool about for me with Sync Focus is that I've got everything lined up strategically for the entire year. So I know as we're coming into February, we're going to be just talking about reference tracks. That's it. So if you guys get bored of this content, that's fine. You can unsubscribe and go find some other stuff to listen to. But there's a reason why we are keeping things very focused and very chronologically organized. So January, this month is about finding libraries, which includes listening to some of the tracks, of course, in them. But February, we're really going to be zooming in. And now, hopefully, for many of you guys that have found your libraries, we can really spend the time on getting great at finding reference tracks, analyzing them properly, and making sure that we are using them as inspiration, but not copying them and ripping them off. And yes, I as I said earlier in the video, I understand we were just talking about AI models doing the same thing. So why is it different for us? Again, human beings, AI machines. Different things, okay? So I do think we should have some different laws and some different regulations if we want to protect human beings and human creators that are making some great, beautiful music that are, enriching everybody's lives in the world. So, and I think that's certainly what we are doing here. So, that's pretty much it. I don't know if there was any other updates I was going to give you guys, but no, just seeing some great, awesome interactivity on the platform in Sync Academy, seeing a lot of excitement and also some honesty about what's really challenging some people already. And so I want to make sure you guys know that as well, that it's okay, that you're going to fall off the horse at some point, maybe this year. All right. I don't want to predict that and hope for that. Of course, like I hope everybody just stays on 10 out of 10 on their productivity throughout the year. But people even do this full time, have their weeks and have their months and maybe even like seasons where they're just not really feeling it. And it's really hard to find that inspiration and that energy and stuff. So I hope that you guys can reach out to each other and just collaborate more often and communicate more often. I think that was one of the biggest benefits already of the mastermind group we just had a couple of weeks ago, where you guys got to interact with each other on a one-on-one. It was like basically 5 people in a room, but really getting to interact with each other on a more personal level. We're going to do that definitely more often. in the platform. And so those kinds of conversations and all of the just little tidbits and insights and tricks you can learn from each other is just invaluable. It's the kind of stuff you'll never find on ChatGPT. You won't find it on a Google search. You won't find it in a tutorial on YouTube or in a podcast or anything like that. But talking to real human beings that are really working in this industry and really usually struggling in similar ways that you are, or maybe they had struggled in a way that you had. That kind of advice is really just invaluable for sure. So we're getting more and more of those conversations going on within Sync Academy. So that's going to be exciting. Way's asking, how's BMI after the acquisition? 100% cool with me. The only issue I have, honestly, is I can't find my tax document. I'm trying to get my taxes turned into my accountant. And ASCAP gave me the year-end tax document, and when I go into my BMI account, I'm only seeing royalty statements. I'm not seeing my year-end, summary of whatever the tax document is for your royalties. So, got to find out why they haven't put that up there. Maybe it's just too early. But I think they've been making all the right moves. They've updated their user portal. They definitely shared. They kept their word. There was $100 million of the sale of their company set aside for publishers and writers. I definitely got a cut of that. I didn't get anywhere near $1 million. I think I got like $1,700 or something like that. So I like that they're rewarding the people that helped them make it a valuable company. And so they sort of helped spread that wealth back to and give that back to people that had been helping them stay in business. So I'm liking it. I am definitely still 100% in favor of them. I still recommend them for you guys that maybe want to work with Sync Licensing a little bit more focused or more exclusively. I don't have an affiliate deal with them. They don't pay me to say that. I've just been a happy customer with them happy member since 2013, 2012, something like that. So we're over 10 years now, 13, 14 years, something like that. The vast majority of my career has been with BMI. So I do recommend them. I think they do some great work. So if you're on the fence between ASCAP or BMI, my recommendation is BMI. I feel that they pay healthy. They pay better rates. That's what my experience and my research has shown me. But you can probably find somebody that's working with ASCAP or CSAC or somebody else and say amazing things about them. And that's fine. Like, I'm sure everybody has their own bias and their own experiences that might even contradict what I have known and what I've seen in my career. And so I'm not here to tell you that there's any truth to any of that, but I can just be transparent, let you guys know about what I do and who I recommend, especially for Sync Licensing. I think that BMI is just a really good bet for sure. So yeah, I agree with Jonathan. It would be great if BMI had that same feature that ASCAP has with the Q sheets. So I wouldn't be surprised if they roll that out, maybe this year. I'm sure they're aware that that is certainly one of the lackings in their membership area. And so you might see that actually, roll out here in the next couple of months or maybe a year or so. So you never know. Can't hold your breath on that. I'm just really lucky that when I started Sync Licensing, I was with ASCAP and then I switched over to BMI. And luckily by doing that, the universal registration system is catching all of my BMI placements in my ASCAP account, right? So they have the universal one system that all these PROs are drawing from for the Q sheets and the placements and all that kind of stuff. So I can log into ASCAP and see that I'm like now at, I think, 9,300 placements, something like that. So I'm closing in on big 10,000, which is going to be cool. I'll have to buy myself a big bottle of champagne when I cross that number. But I'm very fortunate and lucky to be able to see that. I know a lot of people that started off with BMI don't get to see their Q sheets in the same way that I'm able to see. So I just luckily happen to have done it that way. But, I don't know if I'd recommend you guys do it just to get that benefit, but it is sort of one of the benefits of starting, I guess, with ASCAP and then switching over to BMI. So it is what it is. I don't know if that'd still work these days. If you would, if you'd still, I would imagine you would, because they're still using the same universal system, but I couldn't give you any guarantees on that. So, all right, guys, I'm logging off. I'm going to go get some work done today, and I appreciate you guys being here, and thanks for hearing me out for my AI updates and the arguments I'm making here. And curious to know your thoughts. If you agree, disagree, always put those in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys here Monday morning. Mark your calendars, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern time. I will definitely email you guys all a reminder, I think tomorrow, and then I'll also email you, if you're on my email list, the link right before we go live at 9 a.m. because I want to see you guys here on the channel. Regardless if you're in Sync Academy or not, I think this is going to be some really valuable information you do not want to skip out on. So until then, you guys have a fantastic